Hi everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Proverbs of Profit. Igama lami uSanele Aphiwe Mkhize, and I'm with a very beautiful sister of mine. Who are you?
Dog. Nondumiso Claire Gumede.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Our podcast Proverbs of Profit is around financial literacy. It's around educating people about this thing that we feel convicted to or burdened to share and speak about. I think in a very, very short description, that's why we exist. Why do we exist? Explain to me.
Okay, my boy. We've been at this, we've actually had this idea for a minute and a half. Been trying to perfect it. I think now we're in a point where we're like, dog, we'll just start and then we'll grow and we'll see as it kind of progresses. But man, Proverbs of Profits is our podcast that we started because, dog, we wanted to create a platform for financial literacy.
Sure.
To actually to start having conversations that matter. To be honest, we spend way too much time talking and thinking about stuff that don't necessarily serve us in any way. And especially for our people, we've been crying for economical freedom, financial freedom. The only way we can attain that was by actually trying to firstly start conversations, because these conversations are taboo. And then because we have a vision for this entire thing, so as the vision unfolds, I know that we will be in a position where financial literacy is a thing, where our people are financially literate.
Word.
Which is super important because there's so many dynamics about black people and money in particular that we need to tackle, because we did not start this podcast specifically to kind of inspire people to start doing something, but also just looking at the entire sphere of finance, because there are people that do have money but don't know what to do with money, and there are people that literally do not have information about how to actually put yourself in a position where you can start being able to afford yourself and try and build wealth. I think that's why we started this thing, creating a platform for financial literacy. Yeah, making that normal.
Sure.
Because it's needed.
Sure, nah, for real. And for me too, is what I realized, that sometimes it's not that people don't wanna invest. They don't even know it even exists, and we just felt like we need people like me. We need people like her who are this young to speak even more about this. And it's in South Africa particularly. There are people speaking about it, but there's not as much young people speaking about it. And why not see a space and then dive into it? And another thing is why now? Why did we do this now? And specifically for me, I remember an experience that I had, and I was walking home. I stopped a little further away than from where I should be, and I had to walk in a neighborhood. And what I realized was a little different. I realized that there's more corner shops, there's more spaza shops, there's more people who are vendors selling stuff than usual. While that is good, man, it's not sustainable, and it's also not contributing to the economy as much. And another thing for me that was a concern was, it means that people have lost their jobs and are trying to find these ways to try to make it to the end of the month, and that's good. But if we're thinking about what financial freedom is, it's about us progressing from the vendoring. It's about us progressing from the house in the corner being used as a sponsor shop. And one of the reasons why we're having these conversations, which I feel like something very important, is because we want to tell people hey man, it's not just having an events business, even though it's good. It's not about having a t-shirt business, even though that's good. It's about a little bit more than that. Conversation about Johannesburg or the New York Stock Exchange. So that's why I feel like we did it now. And for you, like why now? Why now?
It's been necessary for a very long time, my boy. Because to be honest, it's never been a conversation to even start with.
Yeah.
Dog, we know a lot of people that are getting a bag, but they do not necessarily speak about it because Gokala, why now is for me, it's the fact of Uti, there is not, it's not even a conversation. How many people that you actually know, it's okay, sure, they have money, they're good, but then they also will hide the information because of like stereotypical, like, theories, like if I tell them or whatever. It's important. We are true, but like, times are getting worse, dog. Times are getting worse, and like the wealth gap, it's growing further and further, and we're not doing anything about it. The only thing that happens most of the time is the fact that we would say, this is wrong, and then it stops.
Word.
But creating a platform, like I said, we have a vision for what we're doing. Creating a platform like this kind of opens up a space where we can actually start sharing ideas, talking about these things so that each one teaches another.
Sure.
That for me, it's super necessary. Super necessary, and the fact that we're not even having these conversations is scary because we're behind. We're behind, and I'm hoping that as this cut is time, but it will be a thing that actually we push the bar and the envelope far enough so that I don't think we're gonna catch up, or maybe we might catch up in our lifetime, which I'm not really that optimistic, but I know by starting, it will actually put us closer and closer and closer and closer to actually maybe not closing the gap and actually having education, because like you said, dog, a lot of people do not necessarily invest, not because they don't want to, it's the lack thereof information or even understanding, because people do know about certain elements of like investing, how to actually get a bag, but the problem is we lack knowledge. And then maybe like take something like crypto. The first thing that we say about crypto is that it is a scam, without actually putting in time, effort to actually understand what it is.
Sure.
To actually, because if you understand what investing is and then you say, I do not want it, then I go clean. But then our people lack the knowledge. You don't know what you don't know, and you can't act on what you don't know.
Yeah, it's a totally different story.
Yeah, so that, I think for me, that is why we started right now, because it's super necessary.
Yeah, and
Super
for me,
necessary.
Like for me, like in my like little research that I've done, is like, man, our spending habits are horrible. And when I look around me and people my age, and even like myself, I'm guilty of this myself and my spending habits and the things I would spend my money on. And as I grew closer and closer and opened my ear towards economics, what I realized was, man, like, how am I impacting my future with how I'm spending my money today? You know, and I feel like for a lot of races that have gone ahead of us, and for a lot of people that have gone ahead of us financially, you know, in different groups, it's because at some point there was that one person that was like, man, how is this going to impact my future? And what we're trying to build is a group of people who are young, doesn't even have to be young, who think like, you know what I mean? Like, why, bro? Like, why? And how is, like, what I'm doing now affecting my future? Because, like, what are we spending our money on? Booze.
Alcohol,
We spend our
a
money on
good
lot
time.
of
I don't understand what we celebrating though.
We spend our money on booze a lot. It's part of our culture. It's part of, like, we do it so much that we've even made it part of our culture, and it's not precise. We've made it part of our culture, like booze and partying. Man, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not totally not knocking it out, but why? Why are you gonna spend like $2,000 a night, man? But you're not making real decisions that are gonna affect you in the future. And what we're trying to do is like, hey, let's have a different conversation. Like, come in, man. Why are we spending this much money on clothes and booze and all these things, man? Like, you're spending money on education, like, you know. And I feel like that's why, as a people, you know, we've kind of been regressing. You feel me? And that's why we're necessary, and that's why when you look around us, man, we're not satisfied. Like, I'm not satisfied with what I'm seeing happening around us. And what's the biggest burden for you? And we're like, why? What have you seen that makes you go, nah, I need to speak up? I need to say
Bro,
something.
looking at people my age,
Yeah.
not focusing. I think it's honestly just seeing Ubuntu. Okay, we're young, right?
Sure.
Clean,
Sure.
which is a part of why I feel like us having this conversation is important, because we're looking at this from two different lenses,
Word.
and we're starting it from two different perspectives.
Word.
A young man in Africa,
Word.
South Africa in particular, but
Sure.
a young man in Africa,
Word.
and a young woman, a young black woman in Africa, a young black man in Africa. Clean. Looking at the fact, Tuguti, a lot of our like peers, dog, are not thinking about the fact, Tuguti, the people that are making decisions for us right now are gonna die, dog. And then what are we left with? What are we left with? I need to wear the future. What are we left with? I think we especially young people in particular, I'm not tough on older people. They had their time. Right now we don't have the luxury to be able to complain.
Word.
Our parents were not in a position and space where there was so much information around us.
Word.
We have way too much information for us to be stuck in the same position.
We can do much better, man. We can do much
We
better.
could do way much better.
Word.
It's just looking at the fact of Guti. We're so blessed to be living in a time where everything we're witnessing life change dramatically, and there are things that pop up that can literally change the game for us.
Yeah.
That can change the game for us. That can put us in literally the same level as people that we've maybe it's a move wow.
That's true.
It's looking at the fact that we're in such a better place, but we're not utilizing it at all.
Enough. Yeah, that's true. And like, there's of course a whole lot of things that personal experience that we've had, like in our walk to try to get and go after this beautiful thing called financial freedom. But what's in it for you though? Like, why should you sit here and listen to these two young people who are so convicted and burdened about things that are happening in this continent, in this country? And for me personally, man, it's like, I remember just a year and a half ago, I think I did a course in investing, and when I was done learning about all this investing and all that, I was like, okay, cool, man. Now that you know, what are you going to do about it? And I feel like what we're offering is not just personal experience, it's not just transparency in some of the financial investing decisions we make, but also in the same breath, it's like, man, you're going to learn and hopefully get to do something about this information, because really it's not really about your potential to invest, it's about you doing it. We don't go to ShopRite because it was a good idea. We go to ShopRite because the guy said, okay, cool, this idea, I'm bringing it to life. And it's about learning for sure, but also in the same breath, it's about bringing it to life. And I feel like a whole lot of people use jargon. They use terms like inventory. They use terms that are like weird, you know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, like, what is it? Like, make it simple for me, you know? And I feel like, for me, I've always hated people, experts, quote unquote, because they use this jargon, and I feel like, and know that what we bring to the table is just taking this massive thing and from our own understanding and just, it's simple, dog. It's not easy, but it's simple, and so it's just about us explaining it and making it listen to able, you know. So that's what you will get for sure.
For me, I
Yeah.
think just starting up this podcast, I do not want to lie.
Yeah.
It comes from a selfish place,
Word.
because I know, Guti, if we're in a position where we want to grow, we need to kind of, it's trying to create a literal community where financial literacy again is a norm because to be honest, exposure is important. What you're exposed to as a person is super important. Because I always tell you that whenever we have a conversation, I leave at least learning something better or something new that puts me in a better position. For me, this started because I feel like starting that conversation, starting that platform where now we can try and make this thing normal.
Yeah.
Where it's not a thing you would see. No, let me try and hide my cards. Like, just put the cards there. It's okay, guys. I know this. I know that. Creating that kind of community, I know will grow me, and internally grow other people too.
For sure. And I feel like, like education has done, like, man, education hasn't done like a great job. And I'm for education, dog. I'm for it, right? And it's always been about like, honesty, and I'm also for honesty. But in order for us to grow, bro, I think it's about tapping your little brother in the shoulder and be like, hey, bro, this is how I did it. This is how I'm doing it. Let's all come together and talk about this. Let's all come together and do something about this. And shout goes out to our parents. You feel me? But we have access to the education, and I feel like we're just furthering that space and this thing that is growing. And I wanted, of course, to look normal to a person who doesn't like who looks at that as weird. But for us, we're just normal people, and want you, of course, to be like, okay, cool, I can listen to them because they don't seem far-fetched or too different from me. We live in the same world, and we're just trying to talk about this. And I'm very excited for what's going to happen in the future. Very excited for the guests. Very excited for all these things we're going to talk about and around the experience that we've had. And any last words?
For me, Doug, it's just putting it out there. It's okay, guys. Let's try to put ourselves in a position and actually understand how lucky we are. Doug. We are exposed to so much information, and trying to actually put this platform together is for us to create a community that wants to actually learn more, to know more, to have more, to be more, dog.
Sure.
We can't complain anymore. I think I'm in a position and space in my life where I understand what excuses are not. I'm not taking excuses anymore for myself, and I'm trying to bring as many people as I can onto the same level. Which, no, guys, I don't think we have the luxury to complain about anything. Right now, if you want it, go get it.
For sure, and it's possible.
And it's possible. I think,
We've seen it with all these people that have done it before us, and so can't wait to have you. Can't wait to share all these things, guys. And thank you for tuning in on our first episode.
Yeah.
We're going pretty far in life, and let's still together. You know what I mean?
Clean, dog.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. This is the first episode, so watch out for more. We'll keep everyone posted, dog.
For sure. Take care, everybody.
Sure.
Bye-bye.